Hi there, Davey from Invoice Ninja. Today I'm going to take you through how to create a custom template. In this example, we're going to go through a custom delivery note. Head to Settings, Invoice Design, and in Custom Designs, we're going to create a new delivery note template. We're going to select the template, and we're going to make sure that we associate invoices with this template, and then click Save. So here you'll see we have a blank, brand new template with just some minimal HTML in here. Okay, let's scaffold up how this is going to look. We're going to inject in here a basic layout, which contains a table that will hold our logo, another table that will hold the client details. In here, we will also have a table with our delivery item, and then beneath that we'll have some footer details as well. Okay, let's start populating this now. So the first thing that we're going to do is manage our logo. So to manage our logo, let's head into our first table here. Let's create a new row. Okay, and inside this new row, let's create on the left-hand side our document title. And we'll save the styling for this until the end. And on the right-hand side, we will place our logo. You'll see here I'm using regular Invoice Ninja dollar syntax, which we have direct access to. Let's give this just a class of company logo for now. Okay, let's close off right there. That's our first row. In the second section, we're going to have our client details. So right under here. Okay, so we're going to have 3 separate sections. So it's going to be a 3-column grid. We're going to have the to and the ship to names of the client. Okay, what does this look like? So inside our table here, you can see we have a single row. And inside that single row, let's head off and create 3 divs. Let's create 3 divs here. And inside here, we're going to have our to and our ship to. And we'll keep this one spare just for now. So now for our to section, let's head in and create a div. Now for this div, we're going to use our regular Invoice Ninja client details blocks. And to access that, we'll just pop in the ID on the div to client details. Perfect. Now for our ship to, we'll do exactly the same. We should have a standard block for shipping details. Fantastic. That's all that's needed. You can see here that the styling hasn't been applied as we expect so far. So we will ignore this just for now. And let's now head into the fun part, which is our delivery items here. Now this is where the templating comes in. And in Invoice Ninja, we will want to make sure that we use our Ninja tags. And inside here, this is where we'll pass Twig elements inside here. Now the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to have a single invoice here that we need to inspect. It's just a delivery note for one invoice. Let's now use these special twig braces to set our invoices to the first invoice in the array. Okay, now we'll always make sure that we use safety in one first here. So we'll check if there's an invoice and always make sure to close off those braces too. And that'll safely catch so that if for any reason there are no invoices that have been pushed through, the design won't collapse. So inside now, we're going to create another table. And we'll make sure the width is 100%. Make sure the cell spacing is at 0. Cell padding the same. We won't give it a class just yet. Close it off. Let's create the headers. The headers will be nice static ones. So let's go for a T-head. And let's start going through the rows. So for our first column in our delivery note, we're going to have our item label. For the second column, we're going to have a description. And perhaps we'll also show the quantity that have been delivered as well. And so we'll go for a quantity label. You can see I'm using these label descriptions here, and that'll allow us to translate. So the system will translate these into your client's language. You can just hard code it as well. So you can also use this. This will be completely valid as well. And just the text will appear. Right, that's the headers done. Now let's head through and go through and iterate through our items. So we'll create a T-body. And inside that T-body, create a for loop. So we're going to go through and for loop each item in our invoice line items. And we're going to filter because we only want to show items that are products, not services. So we're going to filter items where the item type ID only equals 1. Let's close that for loop and let's get to iterating. So we'll create a row and we'll have 3 sections in that row. So inside here, to output text in Twig, we use double curly braces, item, product key, item notes, and the item quantity. Perfect. That is our table. Okay. Last thing that we want to do is have some notes. So down here in the notes section, we'll just create another simple div. Give it a container class. And let's create a paragraph. Give it a title for the notes label. And then beneath that, you can use the dollar variable for the invoice public notes. So that's all that it took to create a fully custom delivery note. If you want to stick around, we'll go through and we'll start styling this now as well. So when styling in Invoice Ninja, you can lean on a lot of the work that we've already done. So you can configure most of this back within the main panel of Invoice Ninja, where you can select company logo sizes, fonts, and those kind of metadata details. So we're going to go through and populate some of the defaults that we have as standard in Invoice Ninja. So if you want to consistently be able to modify your, say, invoice font size and the font family, we'll just import the URL of our font URL. Okay. Now let's perform some global styling just on our body here. And for our font family, we'll use our font name, Helvetica sans serif. Font size will be our font size, and we'll make that as an important attribute. I missed something here? No, that looks good so far. Okay, the next part will be, let's style our table. And this will style all tables. And we'll go for, add some margin in here. Make sure the width is always forced at 100. Make sure the table's fixed so that all table layouts are the same. And we'll make sure we break on the overlaps. Okay. So now let's focus on our delivery note title here. So for our delivery note, we're going to make sure that it's a little bit bigger. We're going to want to make sure that the font size, so we'll give this a class, call it the document title. And we'll make that font size a little bit bigger. Good. Okay, next let's focus on this logo. And for the company logo, we'll want to make sure that it obeys, so we've got our class here already. The maximum width, we'll set this to the attribute so that we can control this back in the UI. And the logo size. Good. Okay, what about alignment? Let's create just a couple of, you should be able to just align this left. And we're going to align this right. Okay, that should be the top section for now. Now, for the next section, let's focus on these client details. So client details, we want these to all be on the same line. So you can see they're just stacked here at the moment. Let's try and improve this a little bit more. Now, in the first part of our video, we had that we're going to have this as a grid with 3 columns across. So the first thing that we want to do is create a 3-column grid. And inside here, we're going to display it as a grid. We're going to make our columns equal width. And we'll add a small gap. Okay, let's apply this class now. So you can see here we haven't wrapped the grid yet though, have we? So we'll need to wrap this in a class. So let's go here. And this class, 3-column grid. And here as well. There we go. So now that should be 3 space grids. And what is missing in here is our document details. So we'll pad this out as well while we're here. For the moment, we have 3 equal grids though, but we don't know which is the shipping address. So let's add in some titles here to this. And to do that, let us just create inside here our to label. And inside here, we'll simply have a ship to label. Fantastic. And inside here, we will also have a details tab. So let's go through and create some details. So thinking about this, our details tab is going to be a key value relationship where we have the label and with the matching value adjacent to it. So we're going to need a second kind of table inside here. So perhaps a 2-column grid could work here as well. So let's just go through And we'll create a class for a 2-column grid. And as you expect, we can just copy this one. Something like this. Now, let's go through and we'll create something that looks like this now. We'll also give this a title too. And we'll call it the details label. Let's create another list inside here. So DT. And for that label, it'll be the order number label. Good. And the matching DD is going to be inside a Ninja block here. So we're going to have to lean on Twig for this. So inside here, let's set the invoice. And then obviously, we'll always make sure that we're safely doing this. And so here now, let's go for another DD. And we're going to have a if condition in here. Let's go for a conditional now. So if we have a PO number, then let's show that. Otherwise, that'll be inside an else. We will show what other field. Perhaps we can just show a standard invoice number. Okay, and that's not appearing. Let's try and debug. What do we causing that? And it looks like we're failing to close that big element there. Okay, we have an order number. Fantastic. Let's move along. So let's just keep iterating through and building out our list with a series of DT for the label and DDs for the value. What else do we want to show on our delivery note? Okay, let's have a think, and we're going to want a date. So let's go for a date label. Let's put in, without having to go into Twig, invoice date. Let's go and put in a client label. This will give us the label which says the client's name. And we can just use client's number. Well, we could do client name or client number, really, couldn't we? Client name, client number. And we can have a dispatch date, delivery method. We can just keep padding this out as we need to. That's our first row done. Our main table here, that could do with a fair bit of work as well. So let's go through and style this. So the first thing we want to do is create some separation between the headers here and the actual body of the table itself. So to do that, we're going to put a border at the base of all these. And so we can't target the T head or the TR. We're going to have to target the TH here. So we could do this generically. Let's give this a class. Call it a table header. And then when we're styling, we can target this table header, target each of these, and we'll go for bottom border, solid 1 pixel in width, and let's go for the primary color. Let's see if this works. That did not work, and looks like we've just flipped this around the wrong way. Border bottom. Fantastic. That's the first one done. So now let's think about styling in general for the TH on this. So in general, we can make sure all our text is aligned left. And we'll give it some padding. 6 pixels all the way around. Okay. Let's do the same for, if you give it a different class name, in case we want to change what we do there to the TD. And inside here, we'll go for the same amount of padding. The text is already aligned left, but we'll just make sure that we always enforce. But yeah, vertically we want a little bit more padding, don't we? Because they're quite stacked on top. So let's break this out into its components. Keep the left and right the same. We're standard there. Okay. Let's apply that class. Very nice. Perhaps we need some borders here now too, just to break out those lines. So for this, let's see if we can do this back inside here. And for each of these, let's go for a border on the bottom, 1 pixel. Let's make it black, but let's make it dotted. It's quite harsh though, isn't it? So let's go back to the primary color. Okay. Let's get some slight bit better coloring in here too for these text labels. So let's go back to the T heads, and we're going to change the text color of these. And let's increase that font size. Okay, that's certainly getting there too. Perhaps the next thing is there's quite a bit of line height in here. So these can be modified again if we target the P's directly, I think. So let's have a look at that. And I always prefer to set all paragraphs to 0 margin and then override as needed. So let's just do that. Margin 0 and 0. And they're much better, much more stacked. And you can adjust line heights now if you prefer to just give it a little bit of extra line height. Yeah, and you can just toggle this and get it perfect. Okay. For this note section, let's bring it down a little bit. So for the container, that gives it a bit more space. And for the notes label, let's give it a class with a primary color class. Primary color highlight. Okay. Excellent. Maybe a little bit of extra padding between the notes. You can do that just by nudging it. Get a bit of margin from the top. Awesome padding. I've actually need to target this. That would be why. So you need to pad margin bottom. Okay, a little bit of padding there. So I guess the final thing, you might need some of your company details in here. So we can create another table and anchor this at the bottom. Let's just copy this. Within the table, create a single row. Inside here, we create a div. Perhaps we'll reuse our 2-column grid. And then we have some pre-made blocks for company details and the company address.